Olympic medals come in three colors: gold, silver, and bronze. They don't come close to the rainbow of emotions we've experienced over the past 2 weeks of these games. We've had surprises, heartbreak, and lots of joy, and we're going to talk about it all. Our gold medal NPR team is here to break it all down. I'm A Martínez, and this is Up First Winter Games. Welcome back, Becky Sullivan, Brian Mann, Pien Huang, and Rachel Treisman. We also have a special guest with us here at home, NPR's Linda Holmes, host of Pop Culture Happy Hour. So, Linda, because you are the newbie here and it's your first time, we'd like to start with you. Tell us, what's been the biggest surprise, the most dramatic moment in these Olympics for you?
I think it has to be Ilya Malinin, right? I think, hadn't lost a competition in maybe a couple of years. And in the men's singles, ended up finishing 8th. I think everybody thought that was maybe the biggest lock in the whole Olympics. So I think that has to be the biggest shocker. It certainly was for me, from the comfort of my house, as a person who knows practically nothing.
Rachel, what about you? You were there watching it. I mean, that was a shock for everyone.
I was going to say, Linda took the words right out of my mouth. It was so... we've said shocking about a lot of things, but just, couldn't agree more. Just from the early stumbles to the falls, which I think are pretty rare, to just the finish itself was really surprising. And I just would like to say, not only was his finish really shocking, but the gold medal spot was also really stunning to see Mikhail Shaidarov of Kazakhstan take that spot, who was not favored. He was a crowd favorite, but to see him sit there and, even to his own surprise, go from bronze to silver to gold, on the flip side of things, really exciting for him, just really stunning to witness in person, and I'm sure on TV too.
Brian Mann, what about you?
One of the things that's really cool about these Winter Olympics, is that we see sports that we don't always see. And the guy who was just a delight to see in a stunning moment was Ben Ogden, this cross-country skier from Vermont, super charming guy. Everybody loves him. He broke a 50-year medal drought for men's cross-country in the U.S. And then he went out and did it again. 2 silver medals, one for him in a singles race, one where he led a team. He did a backflip off the podium. That's how happy he was. The entire state of Vermont is celebrating. Coming back from 50 years of nothing to 2 silvers, that's a shocker right there.
Becky Sullivan, what about you? Biggest surprise, biggest thing?
Yeah, this one maybe isn't a pleasant one, but I think the biggest, most dramatic moment that I personally experienced at the Winter Games was right at the beginning when I was standing at the slope to watch Lindsey Vonn come down the hill. And it was just unbelievably shocking. One of the most genuinely shocking sports experiences I've ever had. Everybody there's probably 1,000 people. Everybody was glued to the screen. Obviously, famously, she was making a comeback. She had just torn her ACL just over a week before and had decided to ski anyway and had proved that she could do it by finishing these training runs. And then just 12 or 13 seconds into her run, her arm hooked a gate and she crashed massively, horribly. The silence that fell over the entire place was unreal. It was crazy. And actually, I think what has been so incredible is since then is just how strong Lindsey Vonn is, posting all of these updates, putting out these statements, having people come along on her journey of being in this Italian ER, essentially for a week, getting operations done on her severely broken leg. The crash actually had nothing to do with the ACL. So maybe that was the most shocking part. That's what she says. But it's just that truly was one of the wildest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was just inspiring that she even got to the top of the mountain, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It was amazing.
Another crazy moment was when Lucas Panera Broughton won giant slalom here. He's from Brazil. Turns out, and I didn't realize this, but this is the first medal in a Winter Olympics for anyone from South America. And so another barrier falling there.
Rachel, what about you?
I think for me, the biggest make or break was Amber Glenn in her free skate on Thursday. It was her second and final chance to sort of show the world what she can do. She's 26 years old. This is her first Olympics. She's had a really long, windy journey to get here. She's at the top of her game. She's the 3-time national champion. She made just the most heartbreaking mistake in her first half of competition. She finished in 13th place, and that was, realistically, too far to hope that she would end up on the podium, but there was so much else at stake for her, right? Like to show that she can land these jumps and that she can believe in herself. And also, as she has said many times since, that she can have fun out there. And I think it was just a triumph to see her land a really clean skate, get a season's best score, celebrate that with her coach, leave feeling, I think, much better about herself and the sport. And just to watch that redemption arc happen in the span of 48 hours was really, really cool.
I'm not going to say that she did that entirely because I was talking to her from the living room, but I think it helped some, Absolutely. Yeah. They're very strong.
There's
strong.
No cheering in the press box, Linda, so it's very important that you do it from the couch.
Absolutely. I spoke to her. She heard me. It went great.
Yeah, I had one of those moments. I was at the finish line in a cross-country race, and Jessie Diggins, this legendary cross-country skier, had injured her ribs just a couple of days before, injured them worse than anybody really understood, had to go for MRI. She was really suffering, and she was fighting for a bronze medal. And I watched her coming to the finish line, her face just completely possessed with pain. She just plunged across the finish line, collapsed. One of her teammates thought maybe she needed medical attention. It was dramatic to see how hard through that pain she fought for bronze. That was memorable.
Yeah, and you've described this sport as one that you use every single part of your body pretty much, so you knew that she was hurting badly at the end there, yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to highlight a clutch moment from women's halfpipe snowboarding. It was a gold medal run by Gaon Choi, a South Korean snowboarder. It's 3 runs in the finals, and her first run, she fell really badly. Actually was, on the bottom of the halfpipe, getting medical attention for quite a few minutes. People weren't sure if she was going to continue. Her second run, she also fell in it. But in her third run, she did incredibly well, came back, beat Chloe Kim's score, got gold, and it was just an incredible moment. It was a passing of the torch. Chloe Kim giving her a big hug, saying man, that was amazing. You did it. She also posted later that she did it with 3 fractures in her, so it was giving a little bit of Carrie Strug for me.
Support for Up First Winter Games comes from NPR sponsor Allianz Travel Insurance. Get ready to give ordinary the cold shoulder with protection for adventures that give you the best kind of chills. Learn more at allianztravelinsurance.com.
So, all right, what about you, Becky, when it comes to a breakout star in this Olympics?
For me, one thing that I've learned coming to the Olympics, these past 2 Olympics, is that there's always a hometown hero who really breaks out. For me, that athlete was Federica Brignone. She's the Italian skier who had this really gruesome leg injury during a crash last year. She broke her leg badly, needed a couple surgeries to get back to skiing. She wasn't sure that she was ever going to ski again. And so not only did she ski again, but she won 2 gold medals at this Olympics in front of her hometown crowd here in Italy, in Cortina, the amazing Italian Alps. She won the giant slalom and the Super G. I was there for the Super G race that she won. The crowd went absolutely nuts. All the skiers love her too. Everybody was so happy for her. And in fact, the Italian Air Force, I don't know if they had this planned or what, but the Italian Air Force did a flyover with the colors of the Italian flag, green, white, and red. That after she won that race, it was just remarkable. It was so awesome. I'm very happy for her. All
right, Linda Holmes, our couch correspondent. Who do you got?
Yeah, for me, my breakout has been Corey Tesi, who is one of the Team USA curlers. She won a silver medal in mixed doubles at the sort of beginning part of the Olympics, went directly from there into competing with the U.S. women's team, who made it to the semifinals. I think that, that is so much competition. They compete almost every day, and the matches are long. And for me, just being able to watch her has been so much fun. She's they're all mic'd up, obviously, during curling, so you can kind of hear them chat. You get a sense of their personalities. And she has just been incredibly fun for me to watch, and I am such an admirer of anybody who can focus on anything for that long under those circumstances. So Corey Tesi, my breakout.
Yeah, and I'm glad to know that the curling competition will eventually end, 2 months from now, I think, because it's been going since before the opening ceremonies, and it's just still ongoing.
It's the best.
That's curling. Yeah,
it's
you got to love it. You
It's
absolutely have to love it. Now, one of the things people love about the Olympics is that invariably there will be some kind of underdog story that will grip everyone's hearts and just have everyone staring at the screen, rooting for that underdog. So let's go with that. Linda Holmes, What was the most favorite underdog story of this Olympics for you?
Well, I think I have to go back to Mikhail Shidorov, who is the skater from Kazakhstan we talked about earlier, who won the gold medal. Not only was he, as we talked about, not really expected to win a gold medal, but the commentators, while he was skating his free skate, were talking about he's just planting seeds for the future. We'll see him again in the next Olympic cycle. And it's one of those things where they make those kinds of comments and then you just see the kids sitting at the top of the standings and it just goes and goes and goes. And I love somebody who literally they've expressed no confidence in him while he's in the middle of winning a gold medal. That is great television to me.
I call this an underdog category, but we'll go from that to an actual dog that we saw on the course of play.
The crowd was rooting for this dog more than any skier. This was a cross-country ski competition in Val di Fiemme. All of a sudden, this big, gorgeous, kind of wolfy-looking dog.
Wolfy? No, it looked like an actual wolf.
I thought it was a wolf.
For a second, yeah.
It's in these beautiful Alps. It's wild-looking, and suddenly there's a wolf out among the skiers. I was texting with my editor and I was just like, what the hell is going on in this race? You could see skiers steering around this creature. It turns out it was a neighbor's dog named Nazgul, perfectly harmless. Nobody was harmed. The dog was returned back to its owner. There's an amazing photograph of this dog Nazgul crossing the finish line. So big crowd favorite up in the Alps.
And thank goodness it had a collar. So that's why, I was able to tell that it wasn't a real wolf unless someone
once you got the close-up of the collar, you knew we were safe.
Yeah. And so from a wolf to a weasel, Rachel, tell us about what you saw with a weasel.
Yeah, I'm going to not take that personally, but I just wanted to put out a shout out to the mascots of these Olympics, Milo and Tina. They're stoats. Stoats are technically weasels. They're called ermines here. They're white in the winter. Tina is the Olympics mascot. Milo, we'll see him later at the Paralympics, but she's everywhere, like the merch, the plushies, walking around and dancing on the rinks and walking through the halls and getting mobbed for selfies. I know sometimes the mascots don't always take off this way, but it feels like Tina really had a moment at these Olympics.
Now, definitely, there are plenty of performances that all of us will probably remember and take away from these Olympics. Ping, what about you? Memorable performances.
So I'm going to talk about the curlers and specifically the curling scandal that, sort of happened in a match between Canada and Sweden. This was an allegation of cheating from Sweden towards one of the Canadian curlers, and the Canadian curler responded in a way that completely shocked the world of curling. He basically told people to F off, and, more than once. And this was just, it just kind of usurped like every stereotype that people had about curling. Curlers are polite. They abide by the spirit of curling. It's a very civilized sport. And here was a really, Canadian, some of the nicest people on the planet, just sort of coming back with a huge response. And the fallout from that was really interesting too. The day after, they put a bunch more officials on the curling sheet to watch every single throw, and then that lasted a day, and then they took that away because people were complaining about it. And so it was just a really interesting blow up in the world of curling, which is, as we say, usually a very polite sport.
Linda Holmes, I feel you would have a lot to say on this.
Well, yeah, if you're a person who, like I do, loves a well-tempered F-bomb, I think that was a lovely moment for you. But also, when Alyssa Liu won the gold medal in the women's singles skating, as she was coming off the ice, she sort of gave herself a that's what I'm effing talking about. And I think for me, it was so satisfying because when I was growing up watching skating, the culture of kind of ladylikeness was so oppressive. And it's only been in my adult life that they've allowed women to wear pants. So however you feel about swearing, I think the fact that she is so comfortable that she felt like she could kind of do what maybe you would expect like a snowboarder to do, I thought was really listen, I loved it. I loved it.
There was so much happening in these Olympics, and I'm sure at this point we probably missed a couple of things, but how about just one final thought from all of you to kind of get us out of these Winter Games and looking forward to the next Olympics coming up. Rachel, let's start with you.
I would just say this was my first in-person Olympics, and all of the pastimes and subcultures that I've heard about were here. They were strong. Ping and I got to see the Olympic Village and walk through the dining hall and see athletes lining up for different foods. I've traded pins with so many people. And that's, of course, in addition to all of the amazing sports. And it's bittersweet that it's ending, but I do have to say I'm really looking forward to tuning into the Paralympics in March, and hopefully we'll get a lot more on social media too and feel like the fun gets to continue.
Perfect. What about you, Becky?
I mean, I think for me, it's just a takeaway. I feel like the Winter Olympics are so back, It's just been so wonderful to be here. The vibe in Milan, the vibe in Cortina was just marvelous. And then also, I think just to have, you have the NHL players back in the hockey, the just epic USA-Canada gold medal match. I mean, it's just been so much fun. And the early reports, from the ratings that they're way up, seems to me personally, just my feeling here that people, enthusiasm is back. It's just been really fun to see.
Linda Holmes, you had a different perspective than everyone in this group. What are your final thoughts?
I think when you watch at home, you end up very, very grateful to all the people who are operating the games on the ground. And you understand, I hate logistics, and the logistics of it are astonishing. And the same goes, honestly, for the reporters and the editors and the producers who work so hard to cover it from there, which is obviously a lot harder than covering it from your couch. So I think gratitude is one of my big takeaways, having had the opportunity to enjoy it, both, watching on television and hearing from folks at NPR. So.
And I will say that for me, one of the most interesting parts of these games has been watching the athletes deal with, maybe not meeting the expectations that people have put on them or coming up a little bit short. We've seen multiple athletes not get gold medals that they were expected to get or miss the podium stand altogether. But it's been remarkable how well they cope even in the minutes after, what might be a really disappointing performance for them on the broad scale. They're out there talking about how proud they are that they did their best on a certain day, how, glad they are, and how this is just what competition is. And so I'd say my takeaway is that Team USA is, maybe not making all the medals that they wanted to get this time around, but they are stable and well and present.
Brian Mann, final thought.
Very soon, the torch is going to start being passed back to LA. It lands right back in one of the biggest media markets, one of the biggest communities in the United States. It's going to be a huge summer games. And so, from this very successful Milan Cortina Winter Games, on we go to summer in LA.
It's Hollywood. We love to put on a show. That's my hometown. So I'm going to host all of you to get some Korean barbecue or something like that, or anywhere that is LA that you want to visit. Just hit me up. I will be your tour guide.
We're going to all be on your couch, eh?
Or in my Subaru. I think we can all fit in my Subaru. How about that?
Deal.
That's Becky Sullivan, Brian Mann, Rachel Treisman, Pien Huang, and Linda Holmes. Thanks all of you for your thoughts.
Thanks, eh?
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's it for Up First Winter Games, our final episode from these Olympics. If you want to relive the moment, we put together a full playlist so you can catch up and watch every show. If you like what you've seen, why don't you channel your inner Canadian curler and poke those like and subscribe buttons. We'd also love to hear from you, and so head over to that comments section and let us know if you'd like to see more of this kind of coverage in the future. You can always help keep it going by tapping that blue button and donate. I'm A Martínez, and for the last time these games, have a gold medal day.